Hello everyone and welcome to our macroeconomic online session. Today's lessons will be lesson 2 and it will be about scarcity and trade-off. We'll look into concept and models. As we mentioned before, economic studies focus points begins with real-life economic event transactions from which we'll derive economic concept and theories. And those concepts and theories are explained with mathematical formulation and graphic depiction. So in this lesson, we will try and apply this economic study focus point process in macroeconomics in terms of supply and demand. So the real life event that we will begin with involves a consumer making a purchase decision given a limited budget. And the next real life event we'll look into will be a producer making a production decision given a limited budget. So let's begin with the real life event, a consumer making a purchase decision with a limited budget. So how do we apply our economic study? So we begin by going to Publix where we will observe real life event. And that will be, for instance, you over there trying to make a decision of choosing tomatoes and oranges. The, the challenge here is that you only have $20 to purchase tomatoes that cost $1 each and oranges that cost $2 per unit. Now, the question that you will ask or trying to solve is how many tomatoes and oranges can I possibly purchase with $20? So let's try to visualize the process of that decision making. So let's say we begin with all purchases to be tomatoes. And as we make a choice to add some oranges, well, we will lose some tomatoes because we only have $20. And as we increase the number of oranges, we are forced to decrease the number of tomatoes. And the process goes on. If we increase the number of oranges, we are forced to decrease the number of tomatoes. And if all that we purchase is oranges, well, we purchase no tomatoes. And there's a pattern that appears, straight line, that we'll discuss a little bit down, which is called the budget constraint line. So as we look into that real life event of having to make a decision to purchase oranges and tomatoes with $20 budget limits, the first concept that we will study will be budget constraints, which give us all the options, combinations of the choice of oranges and tomatoes. And as we saw the depiction, it gave us pretty much a straight line. We will have a mathematical expression and a graphic expression to pretty much have a better understanding of what this concept budget constraint is about. Other concept that we will look into are opportunity set, and we'll go through the same process of mathematical expression and graphic expression. We'll look into opportunity costs. We'll do the same thing. We'll look into mathematical expression and graphic expression. I won't read too much the definitions. I think examples will help us better understand those definitions. So let's start with the real life event of Kathy going to Publix for only $20. She need to purchase some tomatoes, $1 each, and oranges, $2. Now here for the mathematic formulation, T represent the quantity of tomato that you will purchase, and R represent the quantity of oranges that you will purchase. Now this is how we will proceed to kind of have a good understanding of studying economics with the various steps. So the first step we begin with was to look into the real life events. Now we're moving on to describe the concept associated with that real life event. So the budget constraint line here is the concept, and the mathematic formulation is as indicated 2r plus t equal 20, meaning that I have to multiply the price of orange times the quantity of orange. That gives me the total purchase of orange. And then I have to multiply the price of tomato times the quantity of tomato purchase. And when I add both purchases, that will be equal to $20 of budgets. And for the graphic expression, as we mentioned above, it will be a straight line that we will further explore in our graphic expression. The next concept that we will look into with study is opportunity set. And the concept is better understood as follow. Let's say, for instance, you have a choice of oranges and tomatoes to make. In this choice that you're making, you're telling yourself, well, I am not purchasing oranges at all. Therefore, the quantity of orange will be represented by R equals 0. And if you plug that into your budget constraint equation above, that gives you the following equation, which is 2, 0, because R equals 0 plus T equal 20. And as you solve for T will be equal to 20. That pretty much means that with 0 orange purchase, all your money will be going towards purchasing tomatoes. So you will purchase a quantity of 20. Now, the second option of purchase is you decide not to purchase tomatoes at all. Therefore, T will be equal to 0. And if you plug that into your budget constraint equation, that gives you 2R plus 0 equal 20. You replace your T by 0 as indicated. And therefore, when you solve for your equation, your R will be equal to 20 divided by 2, which is equal to 10. That means that if you do not purchase tomato at all, and you put all your money in purchase oranges, you can only purchase 10 oranges because of the budget constraint. So the graphic expression will be pretty much a summary of the purchases that we made. We said, well, if I purchase 0 oranges, it happened that I can only purchase what? 20 tomatoes. And if I was to represent that graphically, that will give me point A, which is x equals 0 and y equals 20, because my x-axis is oranges and the y-axis is tomatoes. We'll see that in a graph in a minute. If I were to summarize my second purchase, where I consider that I wasn't purchasing no tomatoes, therefore T equals 0. Well, the calculation that we had above tells us that I can only purchase 10 oranges. And that leads to the opportunity set B, which is 10x 0y, because x's are oranges and y are tomatoes. here is the graph here to pretty much represent everything that we computed above. So we said that A was the opportunity set with 0, x equals 0, and y equal 20. So that gives us the representation, the graphic representation that we have on our graph where A is represented, meaning that we have no oranges and we have 20 tomatoes. B, the other opportunity set, which is 10 oranges and 0 tomatoes, is represented right there on our graph, and that is the second opportunity set. With those two opportunity sets represent our graph on our graph, we can now join both A and B, and that gives us our budget constraint line. The next concept to study will be opportunity costs. And how to understand opportunity costs? Well, we'll do some graphic reading that probably will make it a little easier. Here's the question. How much decrease in tomatoes when orange increased by 2? The answer here is that when orange increased by 2, tomato decreased by 4. How do we see that on the graph? Okay, let's look at the graph. Well, here, if I go from 0 oranges to 2 oranges, that means that I have increased the quantity of oranges by 2, as indicated in your graph. Well, that will result in losing 4 tomatoes, meaning that I go from 20 to 16 according to the graph. Therefore, the opportunity cost to increase 2 tomatoes are, to increase 2 oranges are 4 tomatoes. Let me see it again. The opportunity cost to increase oranges by 2 is 4 tomatoes. We are losing 4 tomatoes to gain 2 oranges. And that will be pretty much our graphic depictions of the concept of opportunity costs. The next study will involve a different scenario, which is production. See you in a minute.